What's up, everybody? This is the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. I am your host, Russell Gibson, and this is episode 281. And this week, we've got a very special guest. We've got Jono Michaels. And Jono, how would you like to be introduced of tonight? Mailman Breaks, Sports Cards Addict, Admin.
Yeah, whatever. I'm easy with anything. There's also something new coming that we might discuss in this pod. So
sure. Which hat are you wearing, or which hats are you wearing tonight? I should say.
I'm here as Jono Michaels, the hobby enthusiast. But
okay,
we can definitely talk about a few things.
Excellent. All right. So last time you did come on, we actually did this really poorly. Introduce yourself, explain to us how you got here, all the projects you're working on, all that type of stuff, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. A lot like a lot of other people my age, I guess I was pretty heavily invested into cards, in the mid-90s, trading at school, buying cards, predominantly trading, spending your weekends going to different card shows. I actually got my earliest start from my uncle who used to take me to the Melbourne Town Hall, used to have these footy card shows. So I actually loved footy cards because I loved AFL footy. So we used to wake up at 6 a.m. to make sure we're first in line at the town hall card shows.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the vendors still actually go to some of these shows. I see a lot of the Melbourne Card Fair. The same guy still selling the paper clippings and always say good day to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a lot of those you guys, mid-90s, love my cards. It basically died. They call it the junk wax era. But then, we were collecting as kids. We were set chasing base cards, looking for card number 127. I need my Rasheed Wallace. It was before Rasheed Wallace. I need my Keith Van Horn, card number 127 to finish my set. So that was a lot of fun. Sort of left the hobby, I'd say, late 90s. I was then over in Vegas. I was I'll call a semi-professional poker player. Won a bit of money in a couple of tournaments over there, and I saw a signed Michael Jordan jersey in the window of a hobby store in the Caesars Palace, and I said to myself, if I win any money, I'm going by and getting myself a Jordan signed jersey, which I always wanted.
Yep.
And I was lucky enough to do quite well in a couple of tournaments over there. So I went over to the shop and I said, listen, how much is this jersey? He told me the price, and he said, are you interested in basketball cards as well? And I said, listen, when I was 12 and 13 and 14, it was my life, but I haven't been in it for 6, 7, 8 years. And he actually told me that they had quite a big basketball card collection, and they were no longer showing those cards in the store. And would I be interested in buying some of them? And I said, sure, but I didn't have a clue what value these cards had.
Yeah.
I didn't have my Beckett magazine in front of me anymore. And he showed me quite a few cards and ended up buying some Jordan Fleer 86 rookies and Jordan autos. And
yeah, wow.
I came back and my friends and family told me I was an absolute moron for spending some money on pieces of cardboard. And I tucked those away and actually didn't think about them for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then early 2019, a mate of mine hit at the time, was what was perceived as a big card. He hit a Ja Morant base prism that he got graded with cherry that came back a black label 10.
Wow.
And he's like, Jono, you're not going to believe it. I paid $8 for this break spot. I hit this card. I sent off for grading, and now I'm getting offers of $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 on
Did he take it?
He didn't take it.
Oh,
he
God.
didn't take it. He's still got it. It's probably worth about $500 these days.
I mean, Black Label's nice, but yeah, geez, the Ja Morant market's dropped off a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. He introduced me to breaks. I basically didn't know what a break was.
Yeah.
From that break in 2007 to 2019, I was into memorabilia. Bought a few pieces, but just to hang on my wall at home or in my office. Nothing crazy, just players I liked. And then bought into a couple of breaks. I remember the first break I bought into was EJ's cards.
Yeah, right.
And the break filled in about 2.5 seconds. I didn't get a spot. And then he said, I'm running it back. I'm like, message him, how does it work? I actually didn't have a clue how a break worked at that stage. Bought into some breaks, hit some cards.
So were you breaking with Rob or Jules then?
My first ever break was, I'm pretty sure it was Jules, and then he introduced me to Rimp. And he was actually running the next night. It was the Upper Deck hardwood courts, we get the piece of court with a print on it, and they were selling it off as you can hit a Jordan or LeBron auto, and I was pretty much hooked. I remember it was $73 a spot. I remember it vividly. Didn't hit anything. I then joined NBA Card Market, which was probably still is probably the biggest basketball card page on Facebook in Australia, and bought into a Raz, won a box of Optic Fast Break. Hadn't opened a box of cards for literally 15 years. Opened it and I hit a Ja Morant Fast Break rookie auto.
Yeah, wow.
Which I've still got. I'm never selling that. And I hit a LeBron Hollow the rookies. LeBron, I'm going crazy. A Zion Hollow the rookies. And I was like, oh my God, how easy is this game? I've just hit two of the biggest rookies, two beautiful cards. From that point, I was well and truly hooked. Back into the hobby straight away. Networking, speaking to people, what are the best break pages to go on? What are the best, pages on social media to follow? Straight away, when it went to look for my old cards, found a couple of huge plastic tubs of all my sets in the white, I think they're called the 300 count boxes.
Yep.
So, I found those. I found, a set of Classic, which was college cards, but it was the Shaq rookie with Shaq, the famous one holding the two balls in his hands. I found a couple of 92, 93 Upper Deck base sets, found folders of cards. When I was a kid, I collected Jordan, Shaq, and Penny. Went to a game in 93, Bulls versus Orlando, on a family holiday, and saw those three play. So those are the guys I collected.
Yep.
So found all of those cards, which was fun. You quickly scurry through those cards. Are these worth anything? At the time, I was just looking them all up on eBay, and I think 130point.com had started then.
Okay.
So I was looking up the values there. Then started breaking myself, doing fair few thousand breaks. Started with some repacks as well. Sort of pushed the envelope with price points in repacks in Australia. One set of repack, which was $3,000 a box.
Right.
50 boxes. So we're talking a pretty large series. We had Jordan sign items, LeBron Upper Deck sign balls, Kobe sign items, and all the big chasers in cards, Jordan rookies, and at the time, Ja and Zion rookie autos, which were worth a heap, and all the chasers.
Yep.
Then in 2022, I think it was, I took over the Sports Cards Addicts Australia page.
That was going to be my next question. You just answered that perfectly. Good job.
So I was ready in mind.
Who did you take over that from?
Lucas Rutherford. So it was actually a very good timing thing. I was discussing with a few people about starting my own page. Nothing against the other pages. Like the amount of messages you get as an admin of a page is like, people wouldn't understand. It's actually crazy.
It's like a full-time job.
My phone.
And you're not being paid for it either. Yeah.
No. So I was discussing, am I going to do it? And I literally got a message out of the blue from Lucas saying, hey, mate, about to have my first child. Would you be interested in helping / taking over? Yep. And I was like, well, this is perfect. I was literally in the middle of deciding, am I going to start my own page? I want to start my own page for a few various reasons. Nothing against those other pages. As I said, you get so many messages, so many requests. You get pulled in each and every direction, and sometimes you can't appease everybody.
You can't.
I just want to do things my way. So I think when we took it over, don't quote me exactly, had about 2,000 members, around that 2,500. And we've just, last week, we just ticked over 9,000 members. So the page has grown pretty quickly.
It's very busy too. It's a very active page.
Yeah, we're actually looking the other day. Someone actually asked me, technology is not my thing, but we're looking into insights. And of those 9,000 people in the month of April, there was over 7,900 active members.
Yeah.
So that means they either had to have liked, read, or commented on a post. So
considering that Facebook is actually trending downwards, that's a huge compliment to your page.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with me. It's all to do with engagement of the members. I feel like they feel safe posting cards there. It's not just posting cards. posting about the game 2, who's winning game 3. It's a hobby page. It's not just buy, sell, trade. So I did that. I did Mailman Breaks, and I'm about...
Where are you at with Mailman Breaks? Is that still active? Is that in hiatus? Where are you at?
I'll preface by saying, going back a little bit, it was never my intention of becoming, in inverted commas, a breaker. During COVID, stuck at home, especially in Melbourne, where you couldn't leave your front gate after 8 p.m. or go more than 5 kilometres. Business and work suffered during COVID. At the time, it was just something for me to fill in 1 or 2 nights a week, where I'd normally be busy, with family stuff, kids stuff, social life, etc. So once life started getting busy post-COVID again, coaching 2 kids' basketball teams and a footy team and playing basketball 2 to 3 times a week myself, breaking sort of took a backward step. I feel like people that go into breaks they like to know this break is going to be on at this time, there's going to be a break available. And I just couldn't provide that consistency while I had other things going on, mostly just being kids and good things to do with our kids, sport and stuff like that.
It's a good busy.
Yeah, it's good, definitely good stuff. Yeah. I still probably get about 15 messages a week. Hey, mate, when are you doing a break again? I got a message at 9 o'clock this morning from a guy that did some pretty substantial private breaks with me. Like, you're talking, I'd say the biggest private breaks in Australia by a long, long way. Messaged me this morning, said, I'm home bored. It's King's birthday. I haven't heard from him in about 2 years. He's like, what boxes have you got at home? Let's do something. I said, I've got about my 2 kids and about 5 of their friends running around my lounge room playing indoor soccer at the moment. So probably not the best timing. So yeah, that Mailman Breaks sort of took a backward step. About to launch a product called Clutch Repacks. I'm doing that with some boys that I have become very good friends with in the hobby. They go under Player One Sports Cards. I think that's the best thing about the hobby. You make friends through cards and sport. Our packaging's it's on the way. It's arriving in Australia in about a week. Without self-promoting, I feel like I've always provided a very good repack, and we're hoping to provide the best value repack in Australia.
Okay.
And that's hopefully launching in about the next 2 to 3 weeks.
What's the chase cards out of it?
So there are going to be all different levels.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 different tiers, and it's going to run a bit differently towards compared to my previous repacks. So my previous repacks, I will literally show all 50 hits.
Yeah.
So we'll still do some repacks like that, but the main repacks will be, we've been watching a lot of the repacks in the US, and where they do the entire repack is broken in one break. So you'll show a floor and a ceiling. You might say 3 cards are going to be between the $200 and $250 mark. 2 cards are going to be $500 to $750, and the chaser is between $1,200 and $1,500.
Yeah.
And the entire series is broken as one break.
Yeah, right.
So
okay.
Everybody in that break knows that $1,500 card is going to get hit this break.
Yeah. How many? And so will it be, say, 30 spots and 30 cards? Will it be that type of format?
So finer details of that are literally, it was being discussed at 7 p.m. tonight on a 5-way FaceTime call.
Yeah.
It's going to be between 5 and 8 cards, depending on what level the repacks are. So, there's going to be a more, what I'd say, beginner-friendly, well, not beginner-friendly, just budget-friendly repack. Because lots of people say, what's the chaser? But the chaser for me, you, and someone else are completely different things. I might think a $150 card is amazing and it could be the best card in my collection. But you might say, listen, I'm not wasting my time with a $150 card. I want to hit a $500 card. And someone else might say, well, I don't want a $500 card. I want that huge $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 hit. So we're gonna, at the beginning, there's going to be 3 different tiers, but I think it'll expand pretty quickly.
Interesting. And so would that be a whatnot type situation, or are you going to be heading back out to Facebook and getting it out through there?
It's going to be both. I've been on whatnot for quite a while. I've run quite a few single shows. There are pros and cons of all formats. I feel like a lot of the hobby has moved towards whatnot.
It's king.
I personally love it. Like, I'll go on and watch the big US streamers doing the huge repacks, the huge single shows, And it's funny, I was on one of the biggest single shows yesterday, these guys called Debut Sports. They literally scream for 10 hours straight. I mute it for a long time, but when I unmute it, my wife will be like, "Oh my God, are you watching that show on Whatnot again?" She knows from their voices and the screaming who they are straight away without even looking at the screen. I just love the accessibility to it. A bit unlike Facebook, where you have to, click on different groups, find out what's available. I can literally log into Whatnot, scroll down, and see every single person that's live. I can see everyone that's scheduled to show all in one place.
It's a very well curated app, and they've really tapped into what collectors want and need, I think.
Yeah, and as I said, you get same thing as our repack. If you want to go and bid on some dollar singles, you can find it. If you want to bid on $1,000 singles, you can find it. If you want an MLB break, a UFC break, a vintage break, everything is literally at your doorstep. Yep. So, most of it will be on Whatnot, but keep your eye out for clutch repacks. A few might pop up on Facebook.
Thank you to Neon Trading Cards for your ongoing support. Head over to neontradingcards.com, where you'll find a huge array of breaks: soccer, NBA, MLB, F1, AFL, NRL, WWE, and Marvel. Find Neon Trading Cards on Whatnot. Neon is the exclusive home of the Lucky Card Co. Repack Products, Australia's leading multi-sport repack company. Neon is also a Topps and Fanatics direct breaking partner. Now, a little bit of personal news for myself, but also for Neon. Neon have re-upped for a further 6 months. So guys, you have no idea how much this means to me for this partnership to be ongoing. So guys, thank you for your ongoing support. It's just absolutely fantastic. Releases from Topps, heaps is going on at the moment. WWE Cosmic, Platinum Baseball, Signature Class NFL, Baseball Series 2, Merlin EPL, Knockout UFC, Inception Baseball, Chrome Disney, Cactus Jack Basketball, and heaps more. Cases will be ripped via the website and the 2 Whatnot channels. And just a reminder, if you've forgotten, the main Whatnot channel is Neon Trading Cards, and Neon now have a second channel, Neon Trading Cards Plus, which is soccer, MLB, F1, AFL, NRL, WWE, UFC, and Marvel. Get in, get ripping, and don't miss out. Neon is where the action is. That's cool, man. I think Whatnot needs to work out how to track sales, though, because I think this is a little bit what was happening on Facebook in its heyday, in its peak, but I feel like Whatnot's really on steroids on that, and none of those sales are getting tracked. They're not being aggregated into Card Ladder or 130 Point or anything like that, and I think it's a massive part of the market and the sales data that's being missed on Whatnot.
Listen, I'm not a tech guy. I'm sure AI will probably be able to figure it out in a couple of months.
Surely.
But it's, I think the volume, you'll log into the homepage on Whatnot and you'll see, you'll scroll down, you'll see 20, 30, 40 streamers. There are literally thousands of streamers live at any one time.
But
thousands. And we're talking just sports cards.
Yeah, but that's my point, though. Imagine how much sales data is missing from the market and how valuable and how much we rely on comps to work cards out. But
I think the only way to track it would be is if on the seller side, you literally have to physically type in what the card is.
Yeah.
And then once it's sold, then that's tracked. But then it becomes a lot harder for the seller who wants to run 100, 200, 300,000 of cards in a sale. And I understand you could maybe pre-do it before the show, but on the back end, when you're selling on a platform like that, you sort of have to read the room, Vintage is selling better now. Let's run the vintage cards. And if you've already inputted them in a particular order, you're like, oh, well, the modern cards aren't selling so amazingly for me at the moment. Let's switch it up. And all of a sudden, I don't know. I'm sure there's someone a lot smarter than I am that could probably work it out.
I think there's software already out there that is taking a picture of a card and it can try and tell you what it is. So I think that would be the way for it to be done, because I think someone sitting there and inputting it all manually, that would be an absolute nightmare. I don't think people would do it.
That's what I'm saying. So it has to be some sort of technology. And I said, there'll definitely be someone that will work it out.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, that's the hobby segue.
A whole different world.
Yeah. And so do you want to talk more about Whatnot, or do you want to go and talk about your hobby show that's coming up?
Whatever. We can do both. Whatever you're up for. Let's go to the hobby show for a bit. And it's not self-promotion, but I'll tell you what we're aiming to do. And again, nothing against any of these shows. Just like when I wanted to do Sports Cards Addicts Australia, nothing against any of the other pages. It's a huge amount of work. I cast my mind back to the first hobby hangout, which in my head, it may not have been, would have been 99% sports. And I was like, this is the Mecca. This is unbelievable, right? There hadn't been a show like it. There had been the town hall shows I talked about previously. And then with the growth and more growth of TCG, a lot of the card shows are getting overrun, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it's amazing for TCG that they're, every year everyone says, oh, there's going to be a lull, there's going to be a dip, and there just hasn't been.
Yeah.
So it's amazing for them. I'm definitely not against TCG, going gangbusters, but I ran a poll on Sports Cards Addicts after a show last year where I went to, and it's very hard to segregate the sellers. And I'll be walking down the aisles, and I'm 6'7". I can see above most people and see into their stand, so what they're selling. And it was Pokémon, One Piece, Pokémon, One Piece. And then you'd get 3/4 of the aisle down with these jam-packed aisles and be like, okay, I'm done with this aisle. And then you'll speak to someone and they'll say, oh, did you see Russell's stand at the end of that aisle? I'm like, oh, to tell you the truth, I basically quit that aisle because all I could see was TCG, which again is amazing for the TCG community.
Yeah.
So I put up a post, would people be interested in an all sports card show? Got a lot of feedback in my DMs, a lot from potential booth holders saying, listen, we did another show, but it got overrun by TCG. Buyers that went and said, listen, we've stopped going to the shows because it's been overrun by TCG.
Yeah. I think I would say that's a large amount of feedback that's coming from a lot of card shows at the moment.
Yeah. So we,
including the Hobby Hangout's most recent show, I think that was the overwhelming piece of feedback that came back.
Yeah, and nothing against a Hobby Hangout. Like, they've gone from the old what was it called, the Melbourne Pavilion, and now they're at the exhibition buildings. A huge achievement. Yeah, and they've
doubled the floor space this year too. They were upstairs and downstairs. It was wild.
It was quite hot upstairs, but that's another thing. And so I actually got approached by a couple of my mates, and they said, listen, we were thinking about putting together a show as well. Why don't we combine our forces? We've all got different things we're good at. I can bring this, you can bring that. And so we decided, yep, let's do it. Finding a venue is pretty hard. People think it's easy. Finding a venue big enough, the right space, the right lighting, air conditioning, not air conditioning, availability, pricing. And we've put together what we think. We only released it last week, so it hasn't been released that much, but it's called the Ultimate Sports Collectors Convention. We're not saying there can't be TCG, because there are a lot of guys that have crossover, but if you are an only TCG exhibitor, you're not coming in. So we're playing favorites, but if you're showing an NBA case and you've got 3 Charizards in your case, amazing, go for it.
So how are you going to vet and enforce that?
Well, so we actually had, we only released it to the public on Thursday. Between the 3 of us and the Instagram page, I think we had over 500 inquiries for people wanting to exhibit. We don't have enough space for 500 people to exhibit. And we literally said, like, what do you want to show? There are some people that were purely TCG, and we're like, thank you so much for the interest. This show isn't for you. Maybe we'll run a show in the future that might be for you. We'll never say never, but we want this to be, if you want to find an NBA, NFL, baseball, hockey, AFL, rugby, UFC, boxing, card, jersey, signed ball, whatever it is, it's going to be at this show.
Yep.
And that if you're going to spend, we're finalizing the details on the tickets, but if you're going to spend money to come to this show, which it is going to be one of the cheaper tickets to go to a show in Australia, you are going to see sports, and you're not going to be overrun by TCG. Again, I'm not dissing TCG. TCG has a place in the hobby.
No one is interpreting you as trashing TCG, man.
Good.
We get it.
And the overwhelming response we had has been like unbelievable. I'd say I've had over 2,000 people message me on Facebook through Messenger saying when the ticket's available, how much are the tickets going to be, how many days is it, how many vendors are going to be, who's going to be there, is this vendor going to be there, is that vendor going to be there? So it's really exciting. You put a fair bit of time into it. People probably sit back and say, oh, these guys are making millions of dollars off this show. People probably don't realize what's involved in putting a show together. We've just spent a fair bit of money, not only on the space, which it's a one-day event, but we've taken the space for a couple of days so the vendors can come and set up the day before. Just things like public liability insurance, first aid officers, security.
I'm sure you guys
know about a thing called a POPE, which I think stands for public. Basically, if you have an event with over 200 people, you have to have a license. Table hire, tablecloth hire, chair hire, VIP pass, booking fees for tickets.
Yeah, no,
we're not retiring off this show.
No, I know you guys aren't going to be rolling in Rolls Royces and stuff, man. It's sweet. You don't have to justify it. It's fine.
It's funny. We actually just had somebody sign up about 2 hours ago called Rolls Royce trading cards. There you go.
So maybe you will be in a Rolls Royce then.
Maybe. And we even just had people reach out saying, hey, mate, I'm not a business. I'm not a page. I've been collecting for 10 years. I've always wanted to have a booth at a show, but I didn't because of TCG. I've only got vintage sports cards. Had a guy reach out saying, hey, mate, I only do MLB. I've never done a show before. If this is an all-sport show, I'm taking a table. And that's what we wanted. There are so many people with collections, both people that will have booths and people that will physically come just to look or to buy or to trade that we don't know about in Australia.
I didn't think of that. Maybe the more Pokemon that was going to shows was actually putting off sports guys coming through.
Oh, I know for a fact. I had a guy that messaged me. I haven't done a deal with him.
I'd never thought of that. Yeah.
I had a guy that I haven't done a deal with for probably 4 years. I'll definitely say he's not a newer generation collector.
Yeah. Because
when I started back in 2019, he was one of the first people I did a deal with, and he had heaps of I won't say older stuff, but it's older stuff compared to the newer stuff, 90s and early 2000s cards. And he wrote to me saying, hey, Jono, how you going? I feel kind of weird messaging you this, but I'm just letting you know I've just booked a flight to come to Melbourne to come to your show.
Sick.
He goes, I haven't been to a car show in Australia ever, right? And then so I screenshot it to the boys. I'm like, how good is this? We've got a guy that's never come to a show before, but because it's sports only, he's booked a flight. I'm pretty sure he's in Southeast Queensland, and he's coming to the show. And for me, that's really cool. Like a guy that would never go to a show and where he's probably got so much cool stuff. I know what he sold me in 2019. It's probably worth about 20x what I bought it for then. I don't have it anymore. But all these collectors, I feel like are going to hopefully come out of the woodworks and show their collections.
Yep.
I had another guy saying, he asked me how much the tables were. I sent him our sales sheet. And he's like, I want to take 3 tables. I've got so much stuff that I haven't shown the public before. And everyone's got different taste. So we're hoping to bring people that have vintage, that have new stuff, different sports.
Yep.
It's not just going to be cards. We're hoping to have some NBL players there, some AFL players there, some WNBL players there. We're working at the moment having a basketball court set up so, the kids can come down for some 3-point contests and 3-on-3 contests. We've got some memorabilia people coming. We've had quite a bit of interest. Some sneaker guys have reached out and said, can we come and show and sell basketball sneakers and vintage basketball sneakers? And we're like, yeah, anything sports is come. You want to sell your old newspaper clippings? If it's got to do with sports, let's showcase it.
Would there be a trade zone?
So there will be a trade zone. We're just working out where it's going to be. We had a trade zone in our head set out. The demand for tables has been far greater than we expected. It's at the Williamstown Maritime Museum, and it's got this amazing outdoor area. I'm not just saying it. So the back door's open, and I think it's over 1,000 square meters where they've got fake grass, and it's literally looking over the water. And that's where we're going to hopefully set up a basketball court, and we're hoping to set up a trade zone there.
Okay.
I'm not trying to sell the dream, but imagine sitting at a table trading cards and you're literally looking out over the water of Williamstown. I'd say there wouldn't be too many card shows with that sort of view while you're trading your cards.
I mean, look, all I actually wanted to know was, are you anti-trade zone or are you pro it? But not only have you answered my question, you've also sold me the dream. Like, I'm looking forward to having a bevy overlooking the water, trading some cards now. This sounds quite nice.
Yeah, so there's actually, we're speaking to someone now. There's no promises, but there's actually a licensed venue on site outside, which also has a little outdoor drinking area. So we said, how cool would it be? Me and you, we speak online and say we've never met each other. But there's plenty of guys at card shows you've spoken to online numerous times, never met each other.
That's true. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. You know these guys actually quite well, but you've never met them. Yeah.
Yeah, people will come up to me and they'll be like, oh, Jono? I'll be like, yeah. Oh, it's Russell. I'm like, oh, mate, how are you? So I think imagine having a cold beer, looking out of the water. You've just bought, sold, traded some cards. The kids are 10 meters away in a 3-point competition. They're having the time of their life. They're waiting for an AFL player to come to get some autographs and some photos. Yeah, we looked at the timing of all the other shows. There is quite a bit going on. And we thought just before Christmas, come pick up some blasters to put under the Christmas tree. You know, try and find that PC card for your kid that, you know, you might want to buy as a Christmas gift. Hopefully, the aim is that it's so successful that we run a couple a year, starting in Melbourne. But yeah, that's where I'll say the dream was created. It's come together pretty quickly. We weren't worried, but we thought, you know, are we going to sell? There's space for about 164 tables.
Yeah, right.
And we sold over 100 in less than 24 hours.
It's not a small hobby show, man. I think anytime you're doing something like this, you've got to be apprehensive. I think if you're not, there's something wrong with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think what you're describing is, this sounds very normal, man. I think I'm
a risk taker. I buy collections. I buy cards, you know, but this is, you're doing it with someone else as well. So you don't want to let them down when you've got a partner. It's a big investment, not only in money, but in time as well. We're very lucky. As I said, we've all got our own niche of what we're good at. And we sort of stay out of each other's lanes. You know, we sort of communicate when things do need to get communicated with. But I'm happy to say, you do this, you do this. And they say to me, Jono, you do this. And so far it's worked really well. So I'm very excited about it. I'm not just saying that, my kids are already bugging me. Can we have a table? I said, don't worry, you're going to have a table, boys. So you'll see the mini mailmen are going to have their own booth. And I think that's what it's about, you know?
Yeah, the next generation.
Yeah. So very excited about it.
Thank you to US Sports Cards Australia for your ongoing love and support. Big update from US Sports Cards Australia and Comcar. US Sports Cards Australia is currently transitioning to their new platform, ComCA. During this move, they have temporarily paused new submissions on the US Sports Cards Australia website while they merge products to the new system with numbers well over 50,000. And from me to you, Ross, congratulations on 50k, mate. I know how much work you've put into this. If you are keen to start listing your cards on Comcar, reach out to the team via Instagram, and that is comca.tradingcards. On Instagram, it's got a white background and blue logo lettering. Make sure to mention you're a You Can't Comp This listener. ComCA are continuing to look after the community. Special offer. Your first 100 cards will be scanned and uploaded for free as a You Can't Comp This listener. Continue to check in with comca.com.au, and thank you so much to Team US Sports Cards Australia and Comcar. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to get to? Because what I reached out to talk to you about was actually all these high-end sales that we've had. So can we start talking about some stuff like that? All right. So let's just start, I suppose, at the start here. And this is from Adam Gray. We're not going to go through this extensively. We have already spoken about this on the show, but these are the cards that have been selling recently. So we've got here a Kobe for 3.2. That was the PMG. We got LeBron Exquisite RPA for 5.2. We've got an MJ that sold this year for 4.3 million. That was the All-Star patch and autograph on that.
Yeah.
We've got the Steph Curry for 1.1 million, which was his horizontal RPA. And then we had the Wemby that sold for 5.1 in the last 2 weeks, which was the black one PSA 10. So, my gut feeling is, and I think also probably what's missing off here was that huge
the jewel logo man,
Kobe Jordan that Mr. Wonderful bought. And this is what I really want to talk to you about is what is going on in the high-end basketball sale market? Because for me, there's something happening. I just don't know enough about it to be able to, put it all together. So I thought you'd be the best person to talk about this.
Can't say I know everything, but I've definitely got some thoughts.
I want your opinion. I don't think you need to know everything. I just want to know what your.
So my opinion is cards and collectibles are just becoming an alternative asset.
Yeah.
So you look at, we'll use Mr. Wonderful as a Kevin O'Leary as an example.
He's a great example. It's also an easy one to work with.
Yeah. And I love him because I love Shark Tank. It's my favorite show of all time.
Okay.
So we can use him as a good example.
Fantastic. Let's do that.
So I'm looking at people, I'm in my early 40s. So I'm looking at let's say someone in their 80s that had a lot of money. In my head, it pops up that they bought art, physical paintings, sculptures, ceramics from the Ming Dynasty, whatever it is.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what they invested in. And I think the people in my generation or slightly older, Kevin O'Leary is older, that have a lot of money, they're thinking, listen, we need to diversify. They've invested in the stock market. Some of them went into the crypto area.
Yeah.
They're into crypto. They're into watches. They're into their fast cars. What else can we invest our money in? And they've probably done they have done their research and they've looked at the indexes and like, wow, sports cards have outperformed all of these other industries in a big, big way. And I think it's very easy to quantify, especially with what we'll call the GOATs. You just said Jordan and LeBron, and we'll leave Wemby out for this second, Otani and
definitely leave
Kobe.
Wemby out. Yeah.
Yeah. Kobe and Otani and these guys, they can actually quantify and say, yes, I'm not having this argument. Michael Jordan is the best of all time, and this is the best Michael Jordan card of all time. I'm going to pay for it. It's like saying a painting. Someone says, okay, in my opinion, Picasso is the greatest artist of all time, and this is the greatest piece of art he's ever created. I need to buy that because in my head, that is going to go up in value. And the top end, the supply of the top end is so tiny. Like when you look at it, how many of these, I know now there's been some more with tops, the superfractors, the LeBron superfractors, which are sold for a lot of money, which is great. But how many of these high ends, what people call grail cards, actually exist? So when you talk about like whatever the number is, there's literally hundreds of millions of cards get produced every year.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 in every set. And then when you go back even further, and these people are buying the grails from the 90s, these are either in people's collections that are never leaving, but when they do become available, the price spikes because now there is these outside people, I'll say outside of the hobby, they've now entered the hobby. And I think a big thing for this that not a lot of people have thought about, and I thought about this a lot, it's when I saw a high-end card on Sotheby's auctions. So Sotheby's, which is not known for its sports cards or collectors, towards the end of last year, probably even earlier, I just didn't take notice, we're auctioning off some very high-end memorabilia and cards. And all of a sudden, those people that were buying the art pieces or were buying the vintage watches, the Patek Philippe's for 2, 3, 4 million, it's starting to think, oh, what's this? And they do their due diligence. Wow, 10 years ago, that card was worth 200,000 and now it's worth 4 million. Why am I buying this art piece for 3 million that was worth $2.5 million 50 years ago?
Yeah.
And then I think when people then see people with the legitimacy of a Kevin O'Leary, a high profile who does use his social media influence, oh, wow, if he's investing in this, why don't I look into this? I feel like it's a bigger version of a Gary Vee. So Gary Vee, when he originally started showing that he was buying up all the base and silver Luca prisms,
Yeah.
And he was actually showing the scale. I bought these for 50. And I bought another lot at 80. Then I bought another lot at 200. And then all of a sudden, these silver PSA 10 Prisms worth 10,000. And I feel like when someone like Kevin O'Leary comes along, and also these other huge hedge funds that you see that are buying.
That's such a great take. I wish I'd said that myself. Yeah. So it's like Gary V is like for the middleman basically, and then Kevin O'Leary's for like the
He's taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Absolutely the next level. But they're showing it to you in real time. Like they're not hiding it. So that's the power of social media. So, there are plenty of private collectors, not just in cards, in anything. They'll buy something they don't want a price disclosed. Or they'll be the showman, like Kevin O'Leary will say, I just bought the most expensive card ever. I bought the dual logo man for 10.5 million.
Yeah.
And then that brings in not only more people that were already in the hobby, so many people that are out of the hobby become interested in it.
Yeah.
And it may not be to buy and sell, but all of a sudden there's a spotlight and then it becomes on the mainstream media. And then I saw him on one of the Today shows or something like that in the US talking about.
He's been doing all the US networks. He's been doing the daytime talk shows, the talk show news hours, all that stuff.
And as I say, there's no such thing as bad marketing. There's no such thing as bad media.
I think we should all be thanking him because there is some trickle down for everybody when that type of high-end money comes into the hobby. Yeah.
And to put it blunt, this means that the modern legends are just becoming blue chip assets now.
Yeah. The only thing I just want to just clarify with you, do you believe that these people are in the hobby though, or are they just purely in it to invest? Because in my head, they're not really hobbyists. They're only there to invest and to flip cards.
So I've had this argument with many people over the last 7 years.
How do you break it down? Because
that's
probably the only thing I'm a bit maybe disagree with you a little bit on. Is it fair to put them into the hobby argument or the hobby crowd?
They're definitely in the hobby. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so I was speaking to somebody maybe late 2019, early 2020.
Yep.
That told me he collected a particular, or 3 or 4 players, and he said, I'm never selling these cards. To me, this is my art. This is my collection. This is what I look at. It's for me. And I said to him, but you've got cards that you bought in the mid-2000s for $200. You're talking about LeBron rookie autos, Kobe autos, Jordan autos that are now worth $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20,000 each. You can sell those cards and I don't know your personal situation, but pay off a mortgage, which most people do have, or provide your kids with a private education if that's something of high importance to you. Everyone has their different priorities of what they want to spend their money on. Yeah. And he's like, nah, this is my collection. This is my art. And 2 years later, I saw him bagging the hobby saying, this idiot has just bought my entire collection for, and he's talking about in the mega millions. So I wrote to him, I said, but you're a hobbyist. What are you talking about? You don't want to sell your cards. This is your art. So I was just going back at him with a bit of sarcasm. And it doesn't matter if you've been a collector for 30 years or you've been a collector for 5 minutes. You always want your cards, which are an asset, to go up in value.
Yes, definitely.
Right? So I always see on these pages people say, oh, the hobby was so much better when all these resellers weren't around.
I'm only arguing with you on this just to have the conversation, but that guy who's held those cards, I think that's different to the new money that's coming in with Kevin O'Leary, though. And would you understand my distinction on that?
I understand the distinction. I'm not saying they're the same sort of person, but at the end of the day, they're spending money in the hobby.
Correct, yeah.
The money that they're spending, more than likely, some of it is being reinvested into the hobby.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary buys a card for $5 million. The person who's bought that card for $5 million, I'd say 99% of the time he's spending, even if it's $10, he's spending some of that money back into the hobby.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Right. So there's a cycle. So without him having that big sale, the person that he's bought that card off then isn't buying a $1 million card. Then that person that he's buying the $1 million card isn't buying the $500,000 card off someone else. Yeah. That person then isn't spending the $250,000 on someone else. And then eventually that money trickles down to you. It's the same argument I have with people that say, oh, repackers are the scum of the earth. If repacks didn't exist in Australia, I'm telling you right now, the hobby would not exist.
Liquidity would not be the same. Definitely, yeah.
It would not be there.
This is a question from the Card Messiah _19. Well, it's more of a statement, but I want you to reply to it. Comparing fine art to mass-produced trading cards, ... hysterical.
Well, the Card Messiah might have been one of the persons I was talking about.
Oh.
So
say hello.
Yeah, we used to have some robust discussions. We're mates, so we can have those discussions.
I mean, this is a public forum.
You were the one that told me that your Patrick Mahomes RPAs were the same as art. You were the one that tried to ingrain that in my brain.
But I feel like we weren't talking about the mass-produced stuff. We were actually talking about pretty specific high-end cards. So, for example, the card that we brought up was this 2007 8 1/1 Jewel Logoman. And then another one that's in the list here is this one here. It's another Jewel 1/1 from 2006-7. So there's a lot of cards out there, and you did touch on that. But I think, to be fair, Card Messiah, we're probably at this point in the conversation, we're not really talking about that. I got another question here in the comments too. This is from Adam Tyndall. Thoughts on selling higher end cards? Do you think US buyers are turned off knowing the card needs to be shipped internationally to them? And then the second part to the question is thoughts on auction houses, Goldens, Fanatics, etc.
Yeah, so I post a lot on a page called Old School.
Okay.
It's a US-based page where you basically list a card, and it's called Deal or No Deal. So you don't need to list a price. People throw out prices, and at which point you say no deal or no deal. Basically, it's pretty simple. I always put in my heading, deal or no deal, card is sent from Australia. I feel like I put up some pretty decent cards. I do have some nicer cards. And the only reason why I potentially put up those cards is because, I want to sell it to buy something else, or I'll see a very similar card selling for a good price. And I'll be like, well, there's quite a bit of interest on that. Why don't I put this up? And a lot of the posts, I get very little traction.
Interesting.
And then I'll get a DM. Hey, man, if you're ever in the US, hit me up. I'm interested in this card. Or, hey, mate, I really want this card, but I'm worried about the tariffs now in the US with cards. Or who will cover insurance if you're sending it from Australia? So I definitely do think there is a barrier of entry into the US.
Yep.
But there's also quite a few US buyers that I've been selling to for the last 5 or 6 years, and they'll message me once a month. Hey, man, how you going? How's the kids? What's something juicy you have for sale for me at the moment? So it is a slight barrier. I don't think it's a full-on block. But if you're selling higher end cards, it's the same as, I was talking to one of my mates who I'm on a group chat on, and he's got some, what I would classify as pretty high end cards for Australia. And he's like, Jono, I go to these shows and I only sell 1 or 2 cards. And I'm like, well, how many people in Australia can buy a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 card?
Yeah.
I said that market's the same as what we're talking about with these $10 million sales. There's only this many people in the world that can buy that many cards, and there are only that many people in Australia that can buy the $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 cards.
Yeah.
So, it's just a numbers game. Supply and demand. There are bigger population in the States, a bigger population of people that like the US sports cards in the States. So I definitely think it's easy to sell higher end cards there. But I also think I know it's a bit of a back end of what we were talking about previously.
That's great.
I still think there are so many high end cards that swap hands in Australia that we don't know about. After the second hobby hangout, I was actually invited to a private trade night. You weren't vetted, but you were basically told you need to have good cards to go here, basically. And some of the cards that you saw, I was like, oh my God. I was pretty new back into the hobby, and I was like dumbfounded at the stuff I was shown. So there's definitely some barriers of entry to the US, but I think it's like anything, create the right relationships with the right people.
Yep.
You can make it work. What was the second part of the question? I can't remember now.
Thoughts on auction houses, Golden, Fanatics, etc., etc.
So I've sold on Golden before. Some 3 pretty high-end cards. From a personal point of view, 2 of them sold for over what I thought, and 1 sold under for what I thought. Pretty seamless transaction. I sent the cards, they got it graded for me. Sold for a good price. I'm going to talk against my own page now. Sports Cards Addicts Australia, which is probably one of the highest engaged pages in Australia.
Yep.
I can only get 9,000 and how many ever members' eyes on it. Golden, Fanatics, etc. They're literally getting hundreds of thousands of eyes on their auctions every single day.
Yeah, definitely. I think the processes are very slick at Golden too. That's my very limited times that I have sold with them. It's just so easy. Everything's automated. They've just done it so many times. It's.
So I was speaking the other day to a friend of mine that's selling a lot on Fanatics and Alt at the moment.
Okay.
And they said it's so easy, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's what you want. So that's like the double-edged sword with what Adam was saying. If your barrier of entry is, shipping to the US or getting to the US market, well, you can send your cards to these guys and they can get in front of so many eyes in a very short period of time. You'll get the true value because something's worth what someone's willing to pay.
Yeah, I get the feeling that's the best way to do it at the moment. If you're Aussie, just send it to an overseas auction house and let them do.
And it doesn't have to be a huge card. Like, I don't know if you watch Matt's Card Shop. I love some of his stuff he puts out there.
Hey man, shout out to Matt. Yeah.
And he showed, I sent this lot of cards. This card cost me 25. I got 33. This card cost me 108. I got 214. This card cost me 80. I got 70. My total spends 2,000. My net result 2,800 minus fees. I made myself $500. He's very transparent with that kind of stuff, which I love. So it just doesn't have to be, I've spoken to people before and like, I can't send my card to Golden. I don't have a $20,000 card. I'm like, well, it just doesn't have to be Golden. Look at the cards that are run on daily auctions on Fanatics. Look at the auctions on Alt. Look at the auctions, setting it to a consigner. There are so many options now. As I said, I've only ever sold through Golden. It was 3 pretty big cards. But I'm headed over to the States in July, and I'm going to be hand delivering quite a few cards. I'm working out to who, but it'll probably be a split amongst Fanatics and Alt.
Yep. This is actually a great segue to go from Adam's question into this card. So this was pulled out of a break page in Australia recently, and it just finished on Golden auctions in the last couple of days or so. It got 100,000.
110,000, I think it was.
I think the 10 was the buyer's premium, but 110 or 120, something like this.
Yeah.
I was expecting that to go for a lot higher. Where were you expecting that to land?
So when I first saw it got pulled, I was very excited for Aiden, who pulled it. It's a misconception that breakers hate each other. And then the card was quickly put onto a WhatsApp group that I'm on. Hey guys, you see this huge card. And straight away I thought to myself, that's a $500,000 card.
Yeah.
New in tops, the super fractors are going crazy. Again, it was something I saw on Matt's thing where he says, do you know your card prices? And I always sit there and try and guess them. I type them to him before I do it.
Yep.
And you see some of the lower end players, super fractors sell for, in the thousands. So I saw the LeBron and straight away I thought, that's a monster card. Still not a bad result from I'm pretty sure it was a mini spot that he hit the Lakers and then hit that card.
Yeah, right.
That's
crazy.
As my grandfather always told me, you can't go broke making a profit. But in my head, I thought it was worth more.
Well, just I can't find the sale, but in the last week or two before that, one sold for $1 million.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep.
I think that was the non-auto, wasn't it?
I thought it was an autograph, but it was a slightly slicker design.
It wasn't an insert set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did say I thought it would go for more. That's just my opinion. Some people probably go around the thing saying, oh my God, this overpriced piece of cardboard. But again, when you look at cards, a lot of the time people go back now and a selling point is, oh, that was first year Panini. That was second year Panini. I'll use a great example, Kabooms. First and second year Kabooms have gone absolutely nuts in prices.
Yep.
So I thought first and second year Tops, before they had their license with the Wemby stuff, and now they've got their license.
Yep.
I've got a feeling in 10 years' time, people are going to be like, oh my God, I wish I bought more of the first year Tops, top stuff, which I should probably listen to myself because I haven't bought much. Yeah. But yeah, I've got a feeling that car's going to sell for a lot more in the future. Whoever bought that,
for that 100,000, I think I agree with you. That's an absolute bargain. And when you comp that, you look at the image on that. Like, I understand that is definitely a more aesthetically pleasing card, but I don't think 10x.
Not 10x. Yeah. It's always been a mix because obviously that's any base set is obviously worth more than an insert set, which I understand.
Yep.
That's been across cards forever. But I'm not talking about a 10x difference. Sometimes it might be a 2x difference.
I think the autograph on that insert's a little bit tidier too.
I think whoever bought that did some good buying.
Yeah, 100%. The last time you came on, we talked about what players we should buy. Do you want to give some tips and tricks for this time?
Who did I say last time?
Last time you said Edwards, and actually Ryan from Gemrate is in your team on this one. So
when did we do the pod last time? Would have been a while ago, no?
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute.
Maybe 1 or 2 years, I think.
To be fair, I've been trying to get you on.
I know. No, that's my fault. No, I'm trying to think when I gave the Edwards tip. So it's a funny one. So I was speaking to a guy who collects one person very heavily, and I won't give it up because a lot of people will know it pretty quickly.
That's fine.
And he's done very well, very, very, very well on one particular player. And I was talking to him probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and we were talking Jared McCain.
Okay.
So when Jared McCain first burst onto the scene, I was like, I love this guy. And I know people have their detractors because of the stuff that he might do in his personal life, the nail polish, the dances, the singing.
Is that like the TikTok dances he does? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I love that he's comfortable being himself. He doesn't care what anyone else says. He wants to paint his nails pink. I don't want to paint my nails pink. If he wants to do it, go for it. And then we were having a discussion. It was just before he got traded to OKC. We're like, Edgecombe's getting minutes now, and PG-13's going to come back soon. And when MB comes back, how much time is he actually going to get on the court? And I said, yeah, I'm going to look at his cards from when he was a rookie, was playing, I think the first 20 games before he did his ACL, he was leading the Rookie of the Year contention by a mile. And his cards dropped dramatically. He was injured, did his ACL, out for a year. And you could buy some of these rookie autos for under $50. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy a few of these. I bought his Color Blast. I bought his Sneaker Spotlight. And then when he went to OKC, I'm like, I've done my dough here because he's not going to get much game time at OKC.
Yeah, that's my concern with him too. Like, this roster is stacked, man.
And then we'll just see in the playoffs, he got his opportunity with J-Dub injured.
Yep.
Got his first start, and I think he had 20 or 22. He's a guy that even with a short amount of period on the court, he gets his shots up. And so he's definitely one that I've been buying a bit of. And I know it's something we spoke about before this. I still think that Steph Curry's undervalued.
Yeah, right.
I feel like people's legacies grow once they're retired, but love it or hate it, he definitely changed the game, Curry.
Yeah.
There's no more chucking to the post 60 times and guys doing a drop step and bank shot off the hoop. It's all we've got a 7'4" Wembanyama hitting threes. We've got Brook Lopez, who 10 years ago was probably the best low block player in the NBA. now shooting high volume threes.
Yeah.
I still think Steph's a buy. I actually was very lucky a couple of weeks ago to buy quite a nice little Curry auto collection of some earlier Curry autos, early Panini Curry autos, first year Claw Kings, first year Majestic, Crown Silhouette. And I looked at the prices and I'm like, these are selling for like $7 to $10 under what equivalent Kobe cards are selling for.
Yep.
They're selling for $15 under what equivalent LeBron cards are selling for. And we're talking about a guy who, well, in my opinion, is definitely top 10.
Yep. I don't have a
yes,
massive problem with
I still
that.
think, everyone says that sometimes it's too late, but those same people said 3 years ago it was too late to buy Jordan. Or those same people 2 weeks ago said it was too late to buy Wemby. It's never too late.
See, I think in my head, Steph is a step below LeBron, either a step above or about the same level as Kobe, but then his rookie card recently sold in a worse grade and it sold for more than the LeBron rookie card sold in a better grade. So that could just be
I'm not talking about the high ends. Again, as I said before,
No. So, but what I'm trying to say is like, it's, who knows? Maybe the market has changed already, and actually, Steph is going to start outselling LeBron pretty consistently. I'm not too sure about that, but the thing that does worry me about Steph Curry is how much he's signed. Are you worried about the total population of his autographs? Because I think he's essentially been the main signer for Panini for the best part of 10 to 15 years, and it's really difficult to track the total number of autographs that are out in the wild. And he also signs the Leaf and he signed for Tyson Beck and
USASM as well. He signs a lot of memorabilia with.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. There are quite a few Steph autos out there.
Yeah,
but he's quite a few levels below, because I always have this discussion with people when they talk about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird autos. They just don't sell for that much because there are literally millions out there. So I don't think there's millions of Curry autos out there. There was a huge surge towards the end of 2025 in Curry cards, the prices of his cards. It's come down a little bit since then.
I think he was undervalued back then, though. I think that was the right thing to happen to the market. I think that's okay. Yeah.
But I still think, let's say he's got 2 more seasons. I think as soon as he retires, there's going to be a huge surge in demand. It's very fickle, the card game. As soon as someone hits 40 points, you see everyone, I'm searching for Damian Lillard cards. I feel like once he retires and once LeBron retires, their cards will increase even more. LeBron's an interesting one because he didn't sign for so long, he could only get his autos in Goodwin's Champion. Now that he's signing again with Topps, had quite a few discussions with people. Do his vintage autos go up or go down? So if you look back at the pre-Panini period, particular autos of particular players, as soon as Panini came in and those players weren't signing with Panini, their vintage stuff skyrocketed.
Yep.
So I think it's a tricky situation to be in. I know I'm going all over the place here, but I feel like
I think most people will be following you, man.
As soon as they said that LeBron was signing with Topps, I'm like, okay, his vintage stuff's going to go down. Where people that have been in the hobby continuously for the last 30 years are like, you're crazy. LeBron stuff's going to go up straight away.
Well, I thought his high school stuff was going to go down. I thought that was what was going to suffer when he started signing for LA.
It's doubled to tripled.
Yeah, right.
You could probably 18 months ago, 2 years ago, you could probably buy a lower end on-card high school auto for about $2,000.
Yeah.
You cannot go on anywhere near that. Off the top of my head, you're looking $3.5 minimum.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
maybe it's as simple as that the total pop of that stuff is low. Maybe it's as simple as that.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I still think Curry has a bit of growth. I like McCain. The other one I really like, if you want to go on a prospect,
sure.
And I'm not a prospect person. I think Concanipple. I really love Concanipple.
All right.
I feel like
I do have a slight problem with this call, though, man.
Okay, is it because his team is
his
on?
prices have been crazy, like
But
insane.
they've dropped a lot lately.
That is true.
They've dropped a lot. So his prices on release were crazy. That's the same with anything.
Look at this: 1.8, 1.7, 1.1. He's settled down to about $460 at the moment.
Yep. So I'm buying that card for $460. It was worth $1,800 once upon a time.
Yep.
So he's, to put it bluntly, he's bloody good at basketball.
He's pretty good. Yep.
Problem is he was on a pretty trash team that improved significantly this year in the Hornets. I think at some stage either he or LaMelo leaves, and he either moves to a bigger market team and becomes a flat-out superstar, or LaMelo leaves and he becomes a superstar on the Hornets.
Okay.
So
do you think LaMelo's holding him back a little bit? Is that what you think?
Yeah, of course he is. LaMelo's still number one at the Hornets. I know he came off the bench for a bit this season, still going. But he's still, in my head, number one at Charlotte. But I think Knipple and Brandon Miller are better players than him. And first year, if you look at all the stats, I know he's putting up more numbers, but his three-point shooting is better than any other rookie that's ever played the game. I know more threes have been taken than ever before. That's going back to the Curry effect.
And I think that was their plan this year, was to shoot as many threes as they could. And I love the Hornets this year. They were fantastic.
He shot it at a good click, though.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not just a three-point shooter as well. And that's when Steph became the biggest threat, when, they were chasing him around the three-point line and he could then attack the basket or, set the screen for the fake handoff, and then Draymond would then go and drive to the rim. I feel like he can become an all-round player. And as you've seen in this fickle market, next season starts, he has a couple of games in the mid-30s, and then the market then skyrockets again.
Yeah. Do you think there's any possibility that LaMelo and him can actually coexist, and LaMelo will be more of a true facilitator and point guard and actually set him up and create opportunities for him? Like, do you like that?
Towards the end part of the year when they made a run, LaMelo was coming off the bench a fair bit. He was still getting his 12, 15 shots a game, but his assist numbers were up, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I feel like he plays too much of a street ball style to be a perfect running partner to Knipple. In my head, Knipple's and this is a big call because this player I'm about to mention is a very good basketball player. People have very short memories, but Knipple's a better version of Klay Thompson.
Okay.
And Klay Thompson was people are just thinking about the Mav days. Klay Thompson was at one stage considered the second best shooter of all time. People were saying, is he better than Ray Allen?
My thing with Klay Thompson was he couldn't really dribble a basketball too much. I think Con is like an exponentially better ball handler than.
That's what I'm saying.
Klay
He's a better version of Klay Thompson. He can catch and shoot in that 0.5 of a second.
Klay was in his peak one of the best defenders in the league, and I don't know. Will he be an average defender? That would be a good start.
I don't think people collect cards by the way that people play defense.
Yeah.
No, if they did that, Tony Allen cards would be worth $500.
Oh man, my Herb Jones collection would be worth triple.
Mate, the Gary Payton autos that sell for $70 would be worth thousands. So you look at these guys. When I said Edwards last time, there was a group of guys that were sort of growing at the same time. So there was Edwards, there was Paolo, there were Cade. There was those three that seemed to be the flavor of, I won't say the month, the flavor of the year at one stage. Edwards cards are the most expensive out of those three. Paolo peaked, and I feel like they've come down a fair bit. I've seen some of his sticker rookie autos selling for, sub $150, which is great because there are collectors that want a Paolo rookie auto and don't want to pay $1,000 for it.
Yep. I
don't have $1,000 for it. But yeah, if I was going to prospect a couple, it would be McCain and Knipple. And if I want to stick my money in for the long term, and I still think there's growth. It's Curry. And the reason why I'm going back to it a bit, I still think there's growth is go look at the Jordan market. Oh, I'm too late to buy a Jordan rookie. I'm too late to buy a Star Jordan. I'm too late to buy a Scoring Kings. Well, the last 6 to 8 months has proven that if you bought 6 to 8 months ago, you're a genius.
Yeah, the Jordan market has just been insane.
I'll talk about
this
something.
has been lovely. Yeah, talk to me.
I'm very excited. I'm heading over to the National in Chicago.
Great.
So I've been meaning to go to a show overseas for a very long time. To me, seems to be the right timing. And headed over there and got all excited. I went into my what I'll call my vault and had a look at some cards I potentially might take to trade, and reached out to some of my friends that have been to the National and some of the big shows. Getting some insider tips, and they gave me some very, very good tips. Go with a plan. It's all well and good to take some monster cards over there. But if you do sell them, what are you going to do with the money? Are you going to buy something else? Are you taking them there to trade, or are you only taking those cards there in case you see another card that you're really interested in? I had a look at they've got some meet and greets they run at the National. And I booked in to do a meet and greet with Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh, wow.
So Hakeem's going to be there. So it wasn't cheap. I bought the photo and signing opportunity with Hakeem.
That's super cool.
Yeah, growing up as a 6'7" guy that played in the post my entire life and looked up to Hakeem as a player. People say to me, I said to them, I showed them how much I paid. It's not a secret. You can go on the National website and have a look. And they said, you can buy a Hakeem auto cheaper yourself. I'm like, yeah, but this is a card in my hand, standing next to him, getting it signed. Yeah. You feel like a little kid again. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be at the National for probably 4 days. And as I said, going and seeing the cards out there, seeing other people's collections, talking to other people, meeting people that I've spoken to online for the last 6 years that live in the States. There are people I literally speak to every week. So I reached out to them. Are you going to the National? Yes, I am. Let's catch up for a beer. Yep. I'm not such a beer drinker. I might get myself a Coke Zero, but let's catch up at the National. Let's catch up for dinner. Let's show each other our collections, just like what we want to create at our card show. Are things that I'm obviously going to see on a lot larger scale at the National. Tied it in with I'm not such a huge baseball fan, but I'm heading to a Cubs-Yankees game.
I mean, you're over there. You might as well check out some of the local.
I'm there, and then so a couple of mates are going over. We're also going to, I don't know if you've seen Banana Ball. Have you seen that? No. Look up Banana Ball. So it's basically it's the biggest growing sport in the US. It's basically baseball on steroids. I guess it's more of an entertainment, fun-paced baseball game. So heading to a Banana Ball game, which should be a bit of fun. You'll see guys are doing 360 backflips before taking catches. There's rules that if the tickets literally sell out in a second, you can't get these tickets. I don't know the exact rule, but I think there's a rule that if someone in the crowd catches one of the balls, you then become a part of the team for the innings. So it's I think a lot of people say that baseball goes for 3 odd hours and not much happens.
Yeah,
but let's call this the T20 of cricket, the T20 of baseball, action-packed, fun. So I'm heading over to one of those games as well to see whatever the Chicago-based team is.
Yep. Maybe invest into a team, Jono.
Sorry?
Invest into a team. Be an early adopter.
I think this might be a too late scenario. This might be a Michael Jordan scenario in some people's eyes. So I'm really excited about that. And as I said, it's just made me bring out some of my cards that I haven't looked at for a long time. And I don't want to sound blasé about it. Be like, oh yeah, I've still got this. Or, I've literally traded, sold, bought millions of cards over the last 7 years. Literally millions.
How do you keep track of them all? Do you have a spreadsheet or do you?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to. Definitely have a spreadsheet for the repack that we're starting.
Yeah.
I was keeping a spreadsheet, and then you just lose track of it. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'll add that in tomorrow. And then you forget about it. And then you're like, oh, who did I buy that card off? I'll go look at how much I paid for it. So there are a lot of cool cards. There are a lot of cards I found that I had that I was like, probably should have sold those a few years ago. A lot of other cards have gone up. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, found a stash of Zions that I wish I sold. Found a stash of silver Prism PSA 10 Lucas that were trading at about 10 grand at one stage. I probably should have sold those.
Yeah.
Probably should have sold the base Luca Prism PSA 10s, which I've found about 30 of them, which were worth probably 2.5 at one stage. Probably should have sold those. That's a game. If we all knew what to buy and sell, would be geniuses.
That's right. We'll be Back to the Future.
But yeah, no, I'm very, very, very excited for it. Going with one of my best mates, who's more into AFL cards, but we're making a trip of it. Him and his business partner, and yeah, first time I've been to the States in a long time. I used to go a lot for work and for fun, but kids sport has halted that a fair bit. So should be a fun week.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight, man. It's been fantastic to hear all of your stories and all the plans you've got coming up. Really looking forward to going to your show and checking that out, and love to have you back again sometime to talk more cards.
I'll be on sooner than last time. I haven't been holding you off, I promise. I'm a busy man sometimes.
It's totally fine, man. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. And guys, tune into all Russell's stuff. He gets some really good guests on. Covers different topics. I'm not just saying this. I listen to all your pods.
I appreciate it.
You can learn a lot. You can hear different people's opinions. You can agree with them. You can disagree with them. But I love listening to your stuff. I love listening to some of the other guys that do stuff in Australia. I think we need more of it in Australia. There's a lot more of it in the States. But everyone just needs to support each other in this community. Less hate, more love.
That's it. Thank you,
it's
man.
The truth.
I appreciate it.
It's a shitty world. We don't need enemies.
Yeah. This is the refuge, definitely.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much. I'll catch you all next week.